not until the 1940s and everything that you start getting the first kind of throes of really in your face Mexican American self identity, which eventually leads to the Zoot Suit Riots and these types of things. The type of violent reactions that Mexican Americans who dare to be part of the greater Los Angeles story in the 1940s. That's what later the story of the Pachucos is. And I think the problem is that what they're going to be talking about later on is that Los Angeles is run by these gangsters, this mob called the Pachucos. And there's this big mob of Pachucos that run Los Angeles. And I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 that's not. That's actually part of the criminalization. That's part of the narrative of the industrial prison complex that creates the modern gang problem that we have out of white people who do have organized crime. The mafias. Think about that. The Irish, the Polish, Jews. Go down the whole list. Of all these different people who had these self-protecting real mafias. We didn't really have those things. Those things were made up kind of narratives that become a consequence for the criminalization of Mexican Americans. During wartime. Laying out this whole thing, well, we've done this because we're these bloodthirsty Aztecs who would rip out the. And what's horrible about it is that those are actually it's like he had read the psychological evaluations that were given during the Sleepy Lagoon trial. Oh, of course they killed people because it's in their blood, to be bloodthirsty murderers, blah blah. I was just shocked by the brutality and the stepping forth of establishing the Pachucos as actual gangsters in bloodthirsty gangsters with Aztec blood in the DNA, bloodthirst. Penny Dreadful has already established itself with breaking from the orthodoxy of storytelling, generally, and but they're going to toy with the history and character and storytelling in a very different way. But yeah.
Yeah, and they could say that we're using all these conventions and being as outrageous as possible because it is, after all, at the end of the day, Magda being the puppet master, trying to get this group against that group, which we go back to the entertainment value. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's just not, you'd wish a little more dignity to the whole, well, I do, the representation of the Pachucos. So let's go back, because at the time of the late 30s and let's say the 40s, the Chicano, Mexican American communities, the majority of these people were all, let's just say, like, high percentage were working class. They had no time to be creating trouble.
Exactly.
And when they had a bit of money, they went out and enjoyed their, just like any other American, the right to go out and have fun. Would that be a fair assessment of the community at that time?
Oh yeah, especially when you consider that the 1930s up until we really start producing things for World War II. Remember, we don't enter World War II until December of 1941. The reality is that from the 1930s, you're dealing largely with the Great Depression. So people are dealing with hunger and having to try to do whatever they can to get by. And so people are they don't have a whole lot of time to be bothering people or philosophizing too much. They're very practical, practical minded people. people. And if they're doing organizing, a lot of the organizing is being done with their labor unions. When that type of thing. And later on, of course, by the late 1930s, as the Great Depression is starting to end and stuff like that, and as good times are coming, and as people are starting to be able to afford the nicer things in life for the first times, again, people are so busy with work that they really don't have a whole lot of time, to bother people. It's work and then a little bit of nightlife, and that was really it. But I think what was very noticeable in a city such as Los Angeles is that Mexican Americans were no small minority, within their presence, but they were generally very law-abiding people. You have to think about this. If you already have this society that is already against you in every way, you're not going to be stirring the pot in order to bring more attention to yourself more than ever. In a lot of ways, and that really is a Pharisee. It's not until the 40s that there becomes that collision between Chicanos and white soldiers that are flooding into the area who don't understand why Mexicans are roaming free in downtown by the early 1940s. But we do the Zoot Suit Riot bus tour where we go to Sleepy Lagoon and all the locations of where the riots were at, and the things that we've been told by our grandparents, by our family members, are they tall tales? Are they exaggerations, or is there a thread of truth in it? Usually there's a thread of truth. That's what we explore, those cultural stories. So I love
they're all tales, but they're real.
Yeah.
There's connected there.
They still need to be told. They give context to our struggles.